Xbox has recently been on a streak of wanting to pull back development costs while at the same time investing into big studio games like Fallout, for example, Halo, and also The Elder Scrolls. Now, the question is burdened here, will Xbox even allow Bethesda to continue supporting Starfield? Will they allow them to continue supporting a game that is not that liked, a game that was unsuccessful with its PS5 port, apparently only selling a few 100,000 copies, which is disgraceful when you have to consider that it is a Bethesda game, but then also makes sense because 3 years of horrible word of mouth and like just people trashing on it, myself included, for literal years on end. I mean, like, yeah, no one's gonna buy the game even if you have a 2.0 kind of patch being released. Will Microsoft even allow them to continue? Right? Like, I mean, what would make more sense realistically? Pouring money into a single player title that isn't going to get microtransaction money because no one wants to buy the creations except maybe such a niche group of people, it doesn't really matter. Or would they rather invest into the next Fallout game? Would they rather get Obsidian on a new title? Would they honestly rather put money into Fallout 76, a live service title that really could use more support coming from these Starfield teams, you know, like a next gen patch, or sorry, a current gen patch? They could use a Creation Engine 2 overhaul. They could use so much more for that game, or they could literally just be working on the Elder Scrolls 6 and they could get a bigger budget for that. Personally, for me, I would love to see Bethesda attempt to save Starfield. I don't think they can. I don't even think they deserve it at this point. It's been almost 3 full years now, and they still haven't gotten a lot of the game right. They barely got it right when it first came out, even though my opinions on that were very different. You keep playing the game, you keep understanding it, you're gonna just get that the game it was solid, but it wasn't what we came to expect from a Bethesda title. And even if we take it away that it is made from Bethesda, it's just not a title that honestly deserves many accolades. Like, yeah, you know, the procedural technology, impressive in some areas, but like No Man's Sky did it better. Like the spaceflight, No Man's Sky did it better. You just got outclassed too many times by a game made by a developer 100th of your size and also done over a decade ago. It is a disappointing fact that Bethesda will probably not be allowed to continue work on Starfield. Maybe they'll get to do one more big update to see if they can still pull in some like final sales or whatever, or like some final DLC costs or something, right? Trying to save the game, and then they'll be regulated to, okay, we're gonna keep supporting the game with creations. But other than that, I genuinely don't see Bethesda being allowed to continue on Starfield. I don't see them being able to do this yearly DLC that Todd Howard wants. You know, he wanted a yearly DLC with story expansions. That would have been awesome. I was excited for that personally. But after Shattered Space, and realistically even after Terran Armada, it's like Terran Armada was definitely better than Shattered Space, but like, what the hell are we doing here, guys? Like, realistically, for the amount of content that we should be expecting from a fucking game like Starfield, I would expect 2 story DLCs a year. But then you'd kind of be getting into the sense of, oh wait, no, Starfield's just a single player live service title, right? They release it before it's actually ready, and then they claim, you know, oh my god, it's gonna be so fixed, so polished years later after they sold it to you at a discounted price. But those people who bought it day one get fucked because they paid for the worst version of the game with the least amount of content and the most amount of bugs. But the question also comes into the fact here, like, is Microsoft gonna be laying people off from Bethesda? Like, I know they want to make bigger investments into Bethesda Game Studios, into their IP, but like, will layoffs happen? Like, will we see layoffs with the Fallout 76 team? Will we see layoffs with the Elder Scrolls Online team? Will we see layoffs with the Starfield team? And on any team that is probably going to be getting layoffs, because we've seen from industry heads, like even Chris Avalon, someone who worked at Obsidian, that no one is safe and that studios are going to get cut. I'm assuming Obsidian Entertainment is going to be one of them, right? I mean, the Grounded team might be okay, but the Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed flopped. Like, they were not successful games whatsoever. The only reason I could see them staying fully open is if Asha Sharma lets them work on the next Fallout game, or at least a Fallout spin-off. But as of right now, I mean, Obsidian's one that's clear cut. Ninja Theory is apparently going to get shut down, and I mean, we have so many other studios as well that are on the chopping block that Asha Sharma is looking at these numbers and saying, hey, look, this doesn't make sense. And does it make sense for Bethesda to continue on Starfield when they have Fallout 76 right there, an established online multiplayer game that can really only go up from here? And yes, they could improve it with more content, but as what I've talked about Fallout 76 in my previous videos, where it's like, guys, this monetization scheme is awful. There's so many problems with the monetization, and you can't solve that with just more expensive microtransactions. What you need is a solid amount of content to bring people in, and then subscription costs, especially with Fallout First, that are like 80% cheaper, and Atom Shop costs that are like at least half off. Because yes, I would be inclined to buy more skins and support your games, even with Starfield, for example. If your creations were not $10 a pop and they were like $3, maybe 2, I'd be way more inclined to spend $10 and get 5 to 6 creations that are actually fun and have, like, you know, that support the modders. Like, I can see that. But paying $10 for a gun skin or like a new weapon mod or something like that is absolutely insane to me. It's insane to me that Bethesda has been allowed to be run like this under Phil Spencer, under Sarah Bond, and how this company will hopefully change its ways under Asha Sharma. I'm really hoping she can just go to Bethesda, go to Todd Howard, and just say, look, enough is enough. We're gonna stop fucking around. Either Starfield needs to start turning profits with its single player offerings and its DLC expansions, which actually means more of a quality content being put into the game, or we're just gonna cut support for it entirely and leave it with the skeleton crew that's gonna focus on making sure that creations are updated, you know, like fix a few bugs every here and there. But like, other than that, I just don't see really a point to Microsoft supporting Starfield. Again, I've talked about it. Like, there's so many other studios that are on the chopping block here. Why isn't Bethesda one of them? Why don't we take that into consideration? Because yes, Starfield's launch was huge. Like, yeah, you might have up to upwards of 10, 15 million players as of now, maybe even 20, right? Just because of Bethesda's namesake. But you also have to understand as well, Bethesda has permanently ruined their reputation with Starfield. Because you might have had a huge launch, but like, this is never happening again. The Elder Scrolls 6 will sell because it's the Elder Scrolls. It'll sell tens of millions of copies no matter what. But if Bethesda ever dares to do a Starfield 2, or if they ever dare to make a new IP, people are going to be extremely skeptical about that. People are already extremely skeptical about the Elder Scrolls 6. Why should we trust them with a game, with a franchise that millions of people love after what they've been doing for the past decade? It is not just Starfield. It is also Fallout 76's horrid launch. It is also Fallout 4's dumbed down mechanics. And yes, they did try to change stuff again with Starfield going back to it, but how can we see Bethesda as a company nowadays that is being supported in the way that it is, with so many developers that have left, so many former developers that made Bethesda what it is? Why are we expecting them to still be that same quality? And I'm hoping Asha Sharma understands you can't just throw more developers at the problem, because I feel like that's what Bethesda's been doing. They went from like 50 to 100 people during Skyrim and Fallout 4 to like 500 people. Do we realistically need 500 people working on Bethesda games? Is that a necessary fact here? Do we need that many people working on one title that realistically didn't need to be as big as it was? You did not need 500 people on Starfield. You probably could have done well with 150 or 200. Why you felt the need to bloat that much in a game that was literally procedurally fucking generated actually astounds me. The amount of content there is, yeah, there's a lot of content in Starfield, but it's not quality content. It's not content that I would go back and play repeatedly. It is a disappointment that so many studios in the gaming industry have led down this path where they overblow, make garbage, and then they have to cut it anyway. And I blame Microsoft, and I blame Bethesda especially, for hiring all of these people into these studios expecting massive returns. And yet when you realize that you're bloating, you're increasing middle management, you're increasing all of these departments that just want to be able to talk to each other. That's why Skyrim and Fallout 4 were realistically so special. I mean, when someone wants to do something, they just, hey, go to the guy down the hall and ask them if they can do it. Now Starfield and Bethesda as a whole, and this is just not even Bethesda, this is Microsoft, have been cut down by middle management. You have to go through several different departments now just to get something done, and it's so disappointing because you'd feel like as a company like Bethesda, this is why so many developers have left. You have countless Bethesda developers and people who worked at Bethesda, like P. Hines, for example, said once Microsoft came in and started changing stuff, started adding more middle management, started really focusing hard on what Bethesda should be doing, it wasn't Bethesda anymore. It wasn't that same culture. But I also feel like that's not Microsoft's fault. That's also your own fault. You guys overhired. You guys turned yourself into too much of a corporate entity instead of a game studio that, yeah, made a fuck ton of money. You guys made dirty money, but that doesn't mean that you can lose the passion for what you guys do. And I know it's disappointing because, yeah, no, the company ZeniMax, they made a lot of money. They went on a buying spree. They bought Arcane. They bought id Software. They bought Tango Gameworks. They bought a lot of studios to build up their IP and their portfolio. Unfortunately enough, again, you overbloated. You bought too many things at once. You blew too much money expecting a massive return, and yet, unfortunately, we're now in the situation where Microsoft shut down studios. We're in the situation now where Bethesda is on the chopping block because they're not performing as well as they realistically should be, because the Elder Scrolls 6 was announced 8 fucking years ago and we still have no gameplay. Not even gameplay. We only have the reveal trailer. There's no CGI. We don't know where it is. We don't know any concept of the story. We don't know any concept of characters. We know nothing. 8 fucking years because they just started development, I think, like 2-3 years ago now. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You waited till after Starfield to start working on it? You didn't have guys in like pre-production or something, even just managing what the story was gonna be? You guys finally got down to the work a few years ago, and even then you guys were still wasting time on Starfield. You guys were still wasting time on these titles when realistically you either should have been putting in fucking quality content to the point where Shattered Space was being compared to Far Harbor by Todd Howard, which is probably one of the most insulting and disappointing comparisons I've ever seen in my entire life. Far Harbor compared to Shattered Space was just such an insane difference in quality of content, and it blows my mind that Todd Howard is still allowed to fucking talk about games after saying that stupid shit. I would like to be proven wrong by Bethesda, by its developers that say, look, the game is good, the game is special. I would love to be proven wrong. I would like to see in 5 years, I would like to look back on Starfield fondly, I really would. But even then, like, you could fix Starfield in the next 2 years, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm still gonna shit on you, because if you just delayed the game, or realized, oh my god, wait a minute, this game isn't actually that good, we would never be in this situation. I would not have created like a little miniature fucking YouTube channel with my most successful videos shitting on you, because I don't want to do that. I want to make videos praising you. I want to make videos talking about how much I fucking love Fallout, about how much I love Bethesda games, about how much fun I have with these titles. But unfortunately enough, you haven't forced me, because it's of my own volition, of my own free will, but you have allowed me now to just shit talk you endlessly, and I will continue to do so. And if you do enjoy these videos, I hope you consider subscribing, maybe even becoming a member, liking, all that amazing stuff. Just Bethesda has been pissing me off. They continue to piss me off with literally every single thing that they do, and until they can just lock the fuck in, which I honestly don't think they can, unless they really just start cutting down on the bloat at that studio, which is disappointing, because I guarantee developers are going to lose jobs, and that sucks. But that's just the way the industry is going nowadays, where development costs need to be cut. Games like Gears of War E-Day, for example, should not be $400 million. Starfield should not be $260 to $300 million. We should not be blowing hundreds of millions of dollars on games that, yes, may make their money back, but it's just so fucking unnecessary.